is on blue side. Both teams have won on blue side so far. I think one of the reasons they have won on blue side is because of top lane pressure. Weibo immediately ban out the Rumble, which they gave over as a first pick in game 1. Wouldn't surprise me to see them ban away that Renekton as well. They need to get a good matchup for Breathe. I think that has changed the entire map, whether Zucker or Breathe has won that matchup.
It's been pretty difficult, I think, and this time around, I think we'll be seeing potentially a slightly different look at drafts again. It feels like both times we've had attempted answers into comps that haven't quite worked out. First game, the Mundo idea into the Rumble didn't really get rolling. Second game, the lack of engage proved quite difficult into the composition from Weibo Gaming. LNG back on blue side, though, nominally at advantage from what we've seen on a regular basis.
So what's going to come through as our first pick? The Renekton and the Rumble. This is exactly what we expected out of Weibo. Make sure there is no first pick dominant top lane matchup. On the other side, LNG banning a lot of AD carries on the away from Light. Really trying to remove what Light and Chris want to do. Maybe setting up for something like a Ziggs pick themselves. That could really help in trying to deny some of the extra options on the other side. Ezreal's been untouched, I suppose. It gives Gala a better angle towards that. Very different draft strategies. LNG trying to leave top lane pool alone because they want to first pick something that's dominant. And on the other side, Weibo banning away those top laners to see if they could just stop the easy blind pick.
That's the Sejuani banned away. I think that makes some sense considering Weiwei is a bit of a Sejuani player. Feels like a lot of our best junglers in the LPL are big proponents of the Sejuani right now.
Look, Scout gets himself a Tristana. And interesting thing about the Tristana from him is he has only got to play one game. No, in fact, he's not had a chance to play the Tristana at all in summer.
He's so good at that, yeah.
Scout was the best Tristana in the entire league in 2023. Disappeared in spring, back in summer. The fact that he gets to first pick this, that could be a very strong win condition for LNG. Now, with all the bot lane bans coming through, we said that Ziggs raised up in priority. Was wondering whether LNG could go towards, Weibo go towards it as well, being able to snatch up 2 S+ tier picks in the Ziggs and the Leona. If this were Fearless Draft, you wouldn't be seeing any of these champions locked in. That's the strength that standard drafting gives back to you. You get all the S tiers back.
You absolutely do, and of course it's a takeaway from Gala, who is a menace on the Ziggs. They will lock in an early Cassandra here. They want to ensure they've got themselves a tanky option in the top lane, but that's free reign for Breathe to pick up something at a counter.
Yeah, that's a problem. So you have Camille, you have Jax, you have Gnar. There are more than 3 picks which you can lock into top lane, which can dunk on the Cassandra. You can't double ban top lane, even if Weibo choose not to lock in something now. They probably want to lock in maybe something like a Viego that can survive against the Nidalee in the early lane right now. Save their top lane for pick 4, even though there could be a couple of bans put away from LNG. I think you have enough champion pool, a large enough champion pool for Breathe that can beat out the Cassandra well in a side lane, that you don't have to lock it in right now if you don't want to.
Of course, with that Nidalee getting locked in as well for Weiwei, he is another one of those Nidalee players. We've got quite a few of those in the LPL, so trying to work that one out as Xiaohu decides, I'll take the matchup, I'm going for Corki.
That makes sense. I was wondering whether they'd lock in a jungler for Tarzan, but let's be honest, LNG, they either now have to lock away top laners or junglers. The mid lane being put through, it's the S tier kind of pick again of that Corki in that mid lane, and LNG can't ban out both top lane and jungle. They're already going to struggle to ban out one of those roles enough. Have to imagine now that Weibo feel pretty okay with this first part of the draft. Also worth noting, you have Weiwei on this Nidalee. Weiwei, you need the Nidalee pass to play at an LPL. Not everyone makes this work. I don't necessarily think Weiwei is a player who's going to be getting that much setup this game either. Tristana gives you a slow from the jump at best. Cassandra doesn't give you the easiest CC either. You need a hard CC champion from Hung to make this Nidalee very easy to play through at least one lane. This is going to be a hard game from LNG. This is not easy to execute.
I wonder whether something like the Varus might get locked in here as a potential option for Gala, as a way to get more CC that will lock someone in place rather than moving them. Of course, is one of the issues with the Cassandra. Is like, yes, you've got CC, but it actually still makes it quite hard to land those javelin tosses.
Oh, yeah, it does. So, LNG have opted to take away that Camille from that Cassandra matchup. If they're going to ban away the Jax again, Jax can be a real problem into a lot of this. But then, I mean, Weibo still have options. They can still go towards that Gnar. It's completely fine. You can still go towards something like a Cannon if you want to have more of that too. You have the magic damage in the Ziggs. You absolutely don't need to go towards that in its own way. But there are options here for Breathe, and he's very happy to assess them. Can also fourth pick the jungler here. You can lock in something like the Viego, which is fine into that Nidalee too. That's typically been the LPL answer. You say, no, it worked out fine for his last game. Lock it in again.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Gala continue to hover that Twitch. I wonder if there's a statement behind that. Maybe he just considers himself a rat. Debating the Ezreal again. Has had a couple good games, of course. That inevitable int at the end of the last game will probably sour the recent memories of the guy playing an otherwise fantastic game 1 on the champion.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if Light had his own Twitch game so far. I don't think he had. I was wondering if he pulled that out at some point. So, LNG, lock in that Ezreal. Gala has that go through to the last round. He's played 2 games of it. One fantastic, one game winning moment, 1 game losing moment. And he's going to go up against, alongside that, Rakan. Ezreal Rakan, strong laning bot lane. The Rakan does better into the Leona than she has done in the past. Tarzan, last pick for that jungle. Plenty of options available to him and a lot of ability to do whatever the hell he wants. He has the Leona. You don't have to play engage. The Lilia is better to add a secondary and engage threat. The Brand is better to add more raw damage and a better backlining champion. Tarzan going back towards the Brand, and as we said, Tarzan is arguably the best Brand in the LPL, one of the best in the world.
He is. On the other side, LNG have gone for a longer range comp. They've got the double poke between the Nidalee and the Ezreal, and eventually the Tristana will join in with the fact that her range just increases to be at that kind of Caitlyn tier once a couple levels have gotten through with the Draw the Bead passive. So can potentially, if they get control of vision, if they get control of areas, be pretty difficult for Weibo Gaming to deal with unless they all in. But Weibo have got good all in. They've got very good burst with the Leona into the Ziggs, with the Brand ult flying over the top of it as well. If you get locked down, it's a pretty miserable experience for LNG.
That it is. And LNG, so basically, if we're boiling it down to brass tacks, I think LNG have walked away with a winning top lane. So Weibo have walked away with a winning top lane. That has determined a lot in this series. I also think the Nidalee is very hard to set up for. This game is going to have to be on individual excellence from LNG because it is a very difficult team to play. That typically hasn't worked out well for Nidalee players in the LPL unless your name is Kanavi or TM. There are very few players which have made that Nidalee work. As we go through to Game 3, it has been a back and forth affair. Both of these teams on the upswing. They look like they can shake off some of the rust after that group stage and now really put their form on show when it really starts to matter. It's the last game here for our matchup in the Ascension group. We look to see who walks away our victor.
Ice, the jungle matchup. We have seen so many Nidalees when they have attempted to play into the Brand, go for those early invades, try and mess with the Brand, get the flash. You can punish him early on, especially in the jungle. He can be a little bit vulnerable to those invades. No ability to escape really himself, and the CC is limited at best. It's very dodgeable.
So we wait to go on to the Rift and see how the Gyos are feeling at the last game of the day.
Gyos done for the last time today. One final victor to be decided. Don't think there's anything super scary here with the rune choice. I'll note that Light has gone towards the first strike on the Ziggs to try and accelerate the gold growth. And there is a little bit of a level 1 plan here from Gala and Hung, trying to maybe find someone like Crisp overstepping. Gets the grand entrance, a decent chunk onto Crisp. He will be forced to take a number of autos here pretty late on into the start of this game. So no real opportunity to reset here, and that's a pretty rough start for a level 1.
Yeah, Chris should still be able to get the reset off just in time. Oh, no, he isn't.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He sat there realizing the wave's coming to lane. You're absolutely right. No reset coming through. So Hung on the Rakan that was banned earlier in the series, getting a level 1 plan. We talked about the strength of level 1 Ezreal as well. LNG, hard to execute comp. They want an early advantage. Nidalee is strongest at the very first few levels of the game. LNG at least gets something through this bot side of the map. It means that Tarzan will probably have to answer over onto the top side as well, but there are a lot of LNG wards to stop him walking across river unseen. 2 of them, in fact, one of them by Scout, one of them by Zucker, both defending the top side jungle camps. So Tarzan will respond, but he will be known to be there.
That means that the Nidalee is free to split the map, and that's bad news for Light and Crisp. They want Gala and Hung to be as powerful as possible. They're quite happy to have the Cassante on the weak side.
And you really need Ziggs at about level 4 to be much more safe in lane, because your Q at level 1 cooldown is really, really high. You can't wave clear for forever. Weiwei, he knows his job is done in regards to like forcing Light and Crisp into a defensive position at level 1. You can see that Tarzan has gone in just for the blue buff steal, hasn't stuck around for anything else, so it's going to be 2 camps stolen for 1 camp stolen on the other side. Weiwei slightly ahead in regards to that.
And of course, Tarzan was aware, having seen Weiwei leaving his own jungle, was aware there was a world where Nidalee would come straight on over to the other side of the map, and did exactly that, in fact. So could have proven pretty difficult if he'd stuck around to steal those camps. Might actually still look for an invade here. We'll see. We'll have an idea that Tarzan has gone back to his own jungle.
Yeah, Tarzan would have been spotted taking out the extra camps. I think Tarzan realizes overstaying potentially puts you at risk of just overstaying into the Nidalee. Take what you can get, don't necessarily have to overstay. Breathe doing really well in this topside matchup. Breathe should feel really comfortable here, has himself a really good wave crash, and the Cassandra can really struggle to combo up there, gets Satchel back. Light and Crisp doing okay in this early lane, considering that they were on that weak side. Get at least a decent trade onto the Rakan to make sure he's not at full HP.
The thing is, of course, there's still a pot remaining for Hung. There isn't for Crisp. That was part of the punishment for the level 1 trade that went so against the Leona.
Now, LNG playing around Scout in this mid lane too. Another fact which we need to talk about. We talked about, you know, the winning top lane matchup for Breathe, very important. The early levels in the bot lane, putting Gala ahead. Way can get something apart from that. We haven't talked about the mid lane matchup. Scout on Tristana. This guy is absolutely ridiculous at the champion. He has been probably the best Tristana player we have seen across the entirety of the LPL. He has, you know, a middling win rate on it, but if you look for what he did last year, this guy took the JDG Super Team to 5 games in summer finals through his Jason, his Tristana play. The fact that he's not played it that much in summer is largely due to the fact that it's been banned so much against them. If he can bring out this power pick, one of the champions he is the very best at in the LPL, maybe that can change things.
You can see Weiwei gets both Skull Crabs, slightly unusual pathing, taking a few camps, getting Raptors and going back towards topside river to go to bot-side river. Can now potentially look to reverse clear here as well, or look for an invade on the Gromp respawn, which should be coming in any second now as well.
Now, Weiwei, he was a Nidalee player, obviously. He has been that over the course of his history, and he's been doing that for Weibo as well. Going to go straight onto that Gromp clear. Tarzan is here, though, and will be able to contest. Needs to be afraid. If he does get hit by a spear, things are bad, but Weiwei might have just gone in with that bot prio.
Going to be in a dangerous position. Flash for the invade. Oh, Weiwei, that is a disaster play. Tries to go for the Gromp. You can understand what the decision making is, but you can't get caught on the way out. The wave was shoved for bot lane, but it was still Crisp and Light that were there first.
We talked about LNG needing individual excellence to make this composition work. It is hard to play, and that is not what you want to see from a Nidalee. If you die before 5 minutes as a Nidalee, you have done something terribly wrong. He goes invading on the right timer for the Gromp, but Tarzan knows that as well. Tarzan's early pathing been something which he's been very strong at yet again here in the LPL, even on this new team for him. He takes down, or at least participates in taking down his opposite number of Weiwei. And at least Weiwei will get a invade on the other side of the map, but dying before 5 minutes is not what you need.
No, not at all. And that's even with the wave shoved out. Weiwei needs to be a bit careful because Crisp has gone roaming. Needs to be potentially afraid of supports here. They know he's there. Exactly. Yeah. Weiwei's in danger.
So he's going to walk into Breathe, going to walk out. He doesn't have the flash, though. Breathe, level 6, but no Mega. Gets the move speed from Proc into Hyper.
Toss. He's going to be in danger here. Does get another pounce away. Should be fine. Crisp could potentially look to invade with Tarzan towards the other side as Sal steps forward. Gets the bomb off. Gets away from the Zenith Blade with a well-timed buffer.
Doesn't even have to use himself the big buster shot. Might need to now, though. He's walking out past Flash. Someone's going to be in danger here.
Oh, boy. Hung goes that way. Gets out alive for now. And the burn passive with Blaze doesn't come and kill him out.
Weibo's jungle support movements have been way faster. Well, I mean, way faster. That just feels quite mean to say it at that point. But they have been faster than LNG. Scout now suffering as well for his support in his jungle falling behind. Scout was trying to get some priority, trying to make sure that Hung can get into the river as well. But Weibo have been much better in this early game. Tarzan in the right place at the right time. Crisp in the right place at the right time. Both players who've had significant criticism against them from Weibo's summer so far. The fact that Weibo are doing this well in the early game is really problematic for LNG. This is where they're arguably strongest. They meant to have the Tristana pushing in mid lane. The Ezreal had the push in early and also had the early invade coming through from the Nidalee, the early game queen of the jungle. The fact that Weibo are beating them out in the early game is a hugely good sign for them.
Okay, well, there goes Nidalee clearing away towards the bot side of the map. Gets a fair amount. We'll be down bot lane now to potentially assist Gala and Hung, who are still pretty strong themselves. The Gromp about to respawn again. Weiwei is here to pick up perhaps at least the honey fruit. Throws down a trap and could maybe look to invade on this blue buff. Also, Xiaohu needs to be a little afraid of a javelin toss. Sweet days.
Yeah, Weiwei didn't have the flash, so it would have been harder for him to fully commit towards it. Dragon up on the table. Weiwei still even in gold, even though he has died that one time. The invade on top side managed to get him, again, ahead in terms of that gold, which puts him even with Tarzan. And LNG have now got that push in from Tristana and the Ezreal, which allows them into river first. Now, Weiwei have been winning the early game compared to what it should be. They are slightly ahead, but they're still not quite out of the woods just yet. Cannot allow this Nidalee to completely run over them in the next fight. Could still happen, even though he's died the one time.
And he'll be there in time. Ooh, just shy. Doesn't get away with the Gromp, and good defense right now from Weibo Gaming of potential invades back towards the Dragon. LNG go.
Yeah, and you can see once again that Scout Gala pushing in the waves. Xiaohu doesn't really want to be roaming first at this point. It's not great terrain to play against Leona. You have to be stood up against that wall when you're taking that Dragon, and can give Leona some good engage options. Javelin toss coming out of Fog of War, though, mean that Weibo can't really push them against that wall.
Xiaohu no teleport, but is resetting, so should just be the Dragon over towards LNG.
Should be at this point. Breathe. Winning out of that topside matchup. We will get to that at some point, folks. That little like dude in the top. I don't really know what to call Nah. He's like a little furry thing.
He's a Yordle.
Yeah, I know, but like, it feels like Yordlers is a big, broad terminology. It's like he's a little furry gremlin thingy. I don't know. That is also.
What do you want from your Yordles, Alex?
I want a sense of comfort. I want a sense of strong identity. I want them to tell me that everything's going to be okay.
That's what I have Poros for.
So, well, Poro, yeah, that's true. No, I want to tell Poros that everything's going to be okay, because someone needs to protect the Poros. But that's why Braum's here.
Braum uses them as weapons in the new fighting game.
Yeah, but they're also indestructible. He trusts them. They have an unbreakable bond, an unbreakable spirit. He also uses Poros as part of his attacks in Rune King as well. Like, dude, like, there are maybe some questions to be said about Braum. Braum is a dude which is there protecting the Poros. Is he really, though? In the same way that, like is Bard...
Let me use my Poro as a hand grenade.
Is Bard really using those like, meeps as correctly? Or is he just picking them up and lobbing it at opponents?
What are meeps, Alex?
These are questions which I don't have an answer to, and nor do I want to answer them, because I feel like that's something we're not meant to know.
The souls of the dearly departed. He's actually from the Shadow Wilds, we just don't know it yet.
Oh, God. Well, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things we need to ask questions about. The Void Grubs, the Void Mites. They're coming up in a minute. That's kind of relevant, too. What the heck are they?
I feel like Grubhub have missed a trick by not sponsoring Voids.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that
Void
front.
Grubhub?
Well, we'll get to see whether we get ourselves the Grubageddon on top side. With the 3 Grubs taken by Weibo
Weibo's not hit a spear yet, by the way, I'm pretty sure.
Basically not. Hung's going towards top side. Breathe got himself the hop. He does. So Nah using that more than fine. Breathe.
Smooth.
Yeah, this Nah into the Cassante matchup has been really problematic for LNG. Continual top lane push. Very safe while doing that as well. And it means that LNG, while they'd love to fight for this these Grubs on the better terrain for them on top side, because now it will be Weibo who is stuck against the pit, against that wall, against that pit. It's going to be really hard for them to do so. They're getting pushed up in top lane. It's really hard for them to make things work.
Mini Nah's about to come on through. Breathe is in a spot of danger, but still hops away, and the spear again misses.
And Breathe didn't take aggro. He sits there and is like, okay, you can get the knockback. Doesn't matter. Is that the Pyroclasm thrown out? It is. Looking for just the poke coming through. Gets something onto Weiwei. Takes him down to half HP. He does have a heal in his kit in human form, but it's not going to be enough. Weibo, I think they understood the assignment and say, okay, pushing top lane, get some damage where we can, get the Grubs for free, stop LNG ever getting into River in the first place.
6 Grubs again with a Tristana with a Ziggs, a Corki, and then potentially some damage behind, but actually the teleport in could be problematic. Here they come, it's a double TP. Both Scout and Zucker here looking to punish. Breathe, nearly at Mega. Crisp in danger, gets his Zenith Blade down, flashes out afterwards, gets away, flash on down. Zucker now in danger, and they get nothing with their TPs.
And while all this is happening, Xiao, who didn't teleport top side, he teleported bot side into Scout's lane. So Scout teleported away from bot lane, and both LNG players are now sat there going, oh dear, we've just given Xiao, who a free lane on bot side to hit with multiple Grubs onto that bot side turret. It's not going to be Grubageddon. It's not going to be the 6 Grubs coming in from Weibo, but Xiao, who, after teleporting into that lane, as soon as Scout leaves, is going to get himself at least 2 plates, and they'll get something in the cross map without losing anything on top side.
Just a Grubvasion, you know, it's not quite like it's not quite the Grubapocalypse or the Grubageddon. You know?
Yeah, yes, there's Grubageddon. I also just like the 6 Grubs just being, you know, paying homage to our esports forefathers, that it is basically just the Zerg rush.
It is, it's back to
like, it's basically just...
It's like carcinogation or whatever it is. Like all esports tend to Brood War.
Yeah, maybe we should call 6 Grubs Brood War. Maybe that's what we should call it at that point. I feel like someone out there needs to be paying more respect to StarCraft at this point.
Ah, boy. Well, Weiwei on this Nidalee.
Got the Hive Fleets as well. Hive Fleets, the Tyranids, we got that. Any Warhammer fans? Yeah.
That's very true. Well, that's also very clearly based on Alien, let's be real.
It is, but then also the Zerg were meant to be Tyranids in the original StarCraft. StarCraft was based on Warhammer until they lost the IP rights. It was pulled from them, so they made their own setting. So
they could have had...
So the Terrans were meant to be Imperium, and then actually the Zerg were meant to be the Tyranids.
And I'm assuming
then the
Protoss
were Eldar. Exactly.
I feel
yeah.
Well, Games Workshop missed out on a huge trick there.
Oh, Sam, this is Games Workshop we're talking about. They don't know how to handle... Look, folks... Don't get me started on this. I get quite angry. The end times never happen. Screw off.
Yeah. Two very bitter old world players.
Yeah, Sam, say it right. Fantasy players. Screw this old world stuff. End times never happened. Vermintide accepted. I like Vermintide. That was a good one. That was about the one good thing which came out of that. All the same, back to the here and now. No Zerg rush. No Tyranid Hive Fleet. None of that. 4 grubs still over to Weibo though, and they still have the winning side lane. Tarzan shadowing this lane, as opposed to LNG trying to Sonic mid lane as they send everyone down there. Weibo really want to make sure they can break out into the side lane turret. Zerg goes in.
Uses the footwork for that. We'll still have the Pathmaker to give themselves alive. We'll W out. The damage is brutal. Doesn't quite burn out, I don't think, but we'll have to back away from the turret.
Yeah, Tarzan, no Leandries just yet. He's stopped off for... Well, no, he just hasn't got the gold just yet. Zucker has to flash out. Breathe still has Mega, and the demolish happens onto the turret, so it's another play for him. Zucker flashed out before the Pyroclasm could bounce back and forth. That might have been the damage they needed. And of course, the Boomerang not landing just at the end, too. Still, it's going to be more plates, more winning side lane. What have we said this entire series? Look, if you've been here for the entirety of the series and you were joining us earlier in the day, you would have heard in our run-up to this series saying, hey, the Chinese broadcast said it was about Gala and Light. And yes, they're very important. This is a very diverse series of matchups. You can talk about all of them. For me, this matchup was always going to come down to top lane. Breathe is fantastic at playing through winning lanes. Zucker has been the unsung hero for LNG and has been very, very stable and consistent when he's been given good matchups. What we have seen so far is both teams win when their top laners have the winning side lane matchup. Breathe getting ahead of that can be so, so important. And I really think that Weibo have been utilizing that very importantly. I didn't think they'd get this matchup on blue side. LNG, their draft kind of handed it to them.
Has a little, and now Breathe, starting up this dragon, about to get towards Mega Nars. But the Honey Fruit does actually increase Nars Mega Bar, if I remember correctly. So we need to keep an eye on that one. About to consider turning into his larger Hulk-style form as Crisp and Hung trade out some CC briefly, and towards the mid lane we look momentarily. It's been a slower game than the last couple. Only 1 kill so far at the 14-minute mark.
The thing which has really been slowing it down is that we're at 15 minutes now. No towers have been taken.
Yeah.
It means that it's much harder to make the big ingress into the other side. I also think that when you're playing around the Nidalee, you're either avoiding or attacking that Nidalee. Like it's really, really hard to kind of like make aggressive plays as Nidalee when everyone's just kind of 1 running away from you, or 2 you don't have the setup for it in this game. Particularly when you've got only the Rakan to really help combo up with. This Nidalee hasn't really been it so far.
Did you ever play Ingress?
That was the Pokemon Go
Forefather.
Yes,
yeah.
It was. No, I never did. No, it was good fun. Yeah, well, how was it like?
It was quite like Pokemon Go, with just less of the catching of Pokemon.
I enjoyed that one. It was 2016, right? Summer of 2016. One, the first release, fantastic. Well, we'll see if LNG can catch themselves.
Hang on.
A shiny Xiaohu in topside.
Flash, the grand entrance comes on through with a quickness damage onto the Corki. The huge manatee just about alive, but Scout will eventually clean it up with a buster shot.
Weibo make a slip up in the side lane. Xiaohu's left alone up there, but however, LNG commits so many people to topside that they leave the mid lane open. Scout will take topside with the bombs, but when you have the satchel on the other side, it's going to be Ziggs taking that down too. So first tower goes over the Light. It's after the plates have gone through, so it's not the full gold coming through, but LNG choose to initiate the cross map, choosing to open up a side lane, but by giving up their mid lane.
They can't take the Herald afterwards as well. That would have been a bit more of a solid win for them, but hey, they get something. They get the flash out of Xiaohu. He is a punishable member of the team at this point, and getting a kill onto Scout as well feels really good. We know exactly what this man can do on Tristana when he's given the resources.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Scout, with that 2-item spike now, can do something. Again, this is the Scout play. He's been doing this so much in the last stage of the LPL. Teleport into Zucker's lane, even though he is losing the lane, just to get something onto tower. He doesn't get that much there. I think Light makes the right choice to go throw the ultimate down towards that to save that side lane. LNG are really prioritizing as a team opening up these side lanes. It feels like, last year they did a very similar thing where they had the Nash's Tooth Azir in a side lane taking loads of turrets, or whether it was just Tristana with the bombs, using double heralds to open up mid lane turret where they can. LNG as a team are very good at forming an identity around a set play in the mid game around towers. I think they are probably the most tower-based team within the LPL, and a lot of it's how Scout chooses to use his side lane power on these objectives one way or another, and they do get some value here for him.
Then look into that last game where they didn't get to play around turrets. Look how much more mortal they look. They looked a lot more beatable, and Weibo Gaming with a solid early game made LNG's life very, very difficult indeed. Still a solid chunk there onto the tier 2 as well. Half that turret gone. As a big chunk comes on through. Herald was secured by Tarzan and Weibo Gaming. All the while, and there's Hex Gates again. Oh, Tarzan, be a little wary.
Yeah, that one's one which maybe he'll be ruining at some point. So, Weibo, big big question mark on him now. Xiaohu still doesn't have that flash. Zucker does, but can't catch him out there. Xiaohu being pressed it on in the side lane. I think that LNG done a good job. They've done a really good job in the last minute or two of stopping Breathe playing through his winning lane, because there are 3 people in his lane, because Scouts ended up teleporting through to that. And they've just done the same to Xiaohu, engaging the jungle, but it's not that great.
Chris has to flash away. The turnaround damage is going to be pretty huge. Gets Blast come back. A fantastic auto attack Wei.
And that's going to be the kill onto it as the clean feed dies. We'll try and see if we can find ourselves a way through to another thing. We'll go get ourselves the browser open. Sorry about this one, folks. Looks like the clean feed has just about died on us. We're going to do our best to try and get that one back for you. Hold tight. And
I hear noise. I think it might be back alive.
I think it's back alive again. We'll go back towards that and back into a fight. The screen goes black. We missed the kills. You all saw it before us. Weibo, turn it around.
Somehow, some way, clearly it was illegal whatever Light was doing, who turns off the lights and gets himself up to 3-0 on this Ziggs.
Well, we got a little bit worried, and folks, we're going to really hope there's a replay there, because on our screen it was like, oh crap, the screen goes dark, we open up another tab, try and get through to the gameplay, it comes and revives itself. Midway through it, and Weibo, they get themselves really into a powerful point. Light so far ahead of the curve now in LNG. I felt like they'd done a really good job in the last few minutes of stopping Weibo from playing through the wider map. They throw back an advantage just as soon as that starts. Right, we're going to see now, as Cass is the first time watch happened. So we saw this bit, Chris over-engaged a little bit into this part of the jungle. You can see that Light didn't have the ultimate at this point, and Scout punts him back. Deep teleport coming in from Cassante means that the play keeps on going, but it's not really enough to really lock down the targets he wanted to. The play takes a little too long because Zucker can't quite find himself the right angle, and it feels like they just over-engage a little bit more into the brand damage, and you know, it's 1, 2, 3 lining up like dominoes. It really just feels like LNG don't lock down the targets they need to. The play takes too long. Weibo find the carries and they get the damage down.
Yeah, Zucker doesn't pull Tarzan back towards his team. Light gets to stay alive, and couple kills going against him there. Feels really frustrating after what felt like a pretty solid angle into that fight, especially with Crisp going down early on.
Okay, so now Weibo in their own jungle this time. Some CC coming through. The Ziggs ult is back up. Let's see how they can use that.
The Seer comes across the wall alongside a Pillar of Flame. Gala for now okay. Tarzan not quite at the point where a couple abilities bring someone down to half HP.
Right. Last game of the series. LNG makes some big plays. They come up short in just a little bit. We have been talking about how LNG, it's a hard composition to play. I think we saw that a little bit in that last play, where it's really quite hard to find concise engage. If you hit a Nidalee Spear, sometimes everything's okay. If you don't find that, it can be really hard to lock down. A Ziggs who can satchel charge away from you, can put the minefield to slow you down for the chase as well. And same kind of thing with Xiaohu with the Valkyrie. LNG, they've done decent work at making sure that the side lane win conditions for Weibo haven't blown out of proportion, but it's still there. You still got a 1.5k lead on Breathe, and it's not like you can really force in mid lane either, because Light is ungodly fed now on this Ziggs, who is up so much amount of gold, even though he's behind in CS. It just doesn't matter.
And the other side of that coin is there is something of a lost condition in a Nidalee that's 0-2-2, and not really managed to start anything up. Don't get me wrong, value from the Primal Surge with double AD carries is okay, but you are not going to be finding anywhere near the value the Tarzan is.
Okay, so Dragon up in 40 seconds. Throughout all of our chaos, we've let that slip a little bit. Okay, is he using it for the engage? Okay, take this man's driving license away from him. Gala, he's also had his license revoked from him in the past. That is such a wasted... Come on, at least let it charge itself on autopilot. Come on, Xiaohu.
I think he realized he can't go. He's like, well, I guess I have to turn around now. But that was a bit bad, let's be real.
Yeah, that's not what you really want to be revisiting. We'll maybe see a replay of that one. Put him on name and shame him. It means that the Herald's not there for a counterweight as the Dragon has spawned. Weibo, they do have, again, the Leona Ziggs combo. It's very, very powerful. LNG, they have a strong front line in that Cassante can just press W in front of it. But can Weibo find the carries behind them? That might have to be the question.
Breathe in danger, gets charmed up even with the buffer. No way he's getting out. He is dead to rights.
And with the Ziggs ult now used as a futile defense, Weibo, they have one of their big tools missing. You've only really got Brand now to try and carry the team fight.
Keep going on forwards. Gala getting a big chunk onto Tarzan. There can still be a Pyroclasm coming on through, but already Crisp is burnt to his namesake. An eponymous fire brings down the Leona.
What is Weibo doing? They try and get the multi-angle team fight. Breathe caught out on the flank, and LNG, despite the fact that they have a harder composition to play, find the gaps in Weibo's composition. They don't allow them to pull the trigger, and LNG will get themselves Soul Point. They'll get themselves a couple of kills, and Weibo, for all of his praising the side lane advantage and the easier combo to play around, misplayed the fight in a very important juncture. You know, Breathe has flash, he's jumped onto by Scout, and it hung with the charm into the E immediately, gets the CC, which I don't think Breathe was expecting. Huge amounts of follow-up range from that Rakan. I mean, Hung had that band away from him earlier in the series. LNG find a way to break open Weibo.
And then the fight afterwards is pretty big. They get Crisp on top of it all. Now they're at Soul Point. Hex Soul with double AD carry and in Italy. Much more obnoxious.
That is. It's also going to give, you know, a really good amount of gold to Scout, who has 3 kills in that Tristana. We talked about how Scout is a very dynamic player of the champion. He's very good at using it in side lanes, very good at choosing his time to jump forwards. And right there, he effectively provides the engage angle to the Rakan, because the Rakan E's to him with the ult, immediately CC's Breathe without even needing to use that W. Really need to see how Scout can continue on that performance. He is the sole gold lead. Yes, I know that Weiwei is even with that, but if Scout can keep jumping forwards, that might just be what LNG need.
Xiaohu and Crisp looking to maybe pick off someone. Meganoni there for Breathe. Goes a long way, though. Has to flash on out.
Okay, so Breathe just about to get that Mega. Very, very dangerous point. He still has that flash. So now Weibo trying to play around the Fog of War, trying to see whether LNG can break their way into this. They have themselves the Rakan ultimate again. And if Scout is in the position to again be that forward outpost for him to jump forwards to, maybe that can be the way to get onto these very immobile carries in the backline of the Ziggs and the Brand.
Weibo being jumped at, but will not die. Of course, as Tarzan was throwing out a seer or two there to see whether a stun could come on through.
Weibo losing that solar flare. Crisp has had some good games in this series, but this one has not really been it. He's missing a couple of those key skill shots. He's been going a little bit too far. Now using that Gala ultimate to check the Baron. LNG will know that they are safe from that start right now. They also know that Xiaohu's taken a decent amount of damage, because also the Leandri's on the Nidalee trap, also adding some extra poke into it. Now LNG can finally buy their way into this river. I think LNG, they've been much better when they haven't been put on the timer, because Breathe hasn't pushed up in the side lane. Weibo don't have that same pressure put towards them, which can really be quite a game changer. Weibo, I felt like this game was everything that they needed, but LNG, credit to them for making sure it's not quite as easy as that. Light
just about gets over the wall, was in a spot of danger there as the spear hits Crisp again, and Weiwei beginning to land a few spears now that the vision control is more in their favor. Tarzan tagged as well, and the poke begins to be a bit more obnoxious.
Scout even jumping forwards in that top lane, forcing the flash out of Xiaohu. Weibo, they are desperate for a pushing side lane. Breathe is finally getting that in bot side, but it feels like it's come a little bit too late. He's gone for the Randuins too. I wonder whether Weibo should have just gone for the Black Cleaver on Breathe and just say, look, play side lanes. You have really good matchups to work around. Maybe it's difficult to play that when you've got Scout potentially in your side lane too. I think if Scout is on the Tristana, he will be the most powerful person individually on the map. Weibo, this game's got a lot harder than I thought it would be for them. LNG, their composition was really difficult to play. It's really quite difficult to play against the Gnar, who's mashing your head in the side lane with the Nidalee with not very much setup. But they managed to make it work for now. The gold is fairly even for this point in the game. 26 minutes in, 2k gold lead. Not that much, all things said and done. So now Weibo, they need to start unlocking the side lane win condition. They've been a little bit lackadaisical on playing through the side lanes. It's not really been a situation where they've put side lanes into turrets at important objective timers. Maybe if they do that, LNG will fail that timer again, which led to a loss really in the last game.
Eyes also on that Dragon timer on the top of our screen. 1 minute 20 or so until what would be Soul Point for LNG if they can secure, Soul, if they can secure it for LNG. Of course, they are able to give it up, play around the Baron instead. Weibo Gaming, their macro choice is getting quite challenging as the game is extending.
Yeah, I think having the Soul Point against them really just it sucks, right?
Because Hexel too, right?
Yeah, because Hexel is like, okay, yeah, that might just end the game. That's really, really difficult. Even just an Ezreal at the start of the fight could be pseudo-engaged because they're slow on it at that point.
Yeah.
So it needs to be very, very careful now to Weibo. You do not want to give up positioning on bot side. The thing is, and now LNG know they want to play bot side and set up for this. It means that Breathe is likely over pushing. He is still Meganar, still has flash. It's quite hard to kill him down here. But Weibo, they need to be very, very careful around this Dragon setup. They've given up the vision already on bot side in the run-up to this objective.
Now back towards mid lane we go. The mid lane tier 1 fell a little while ago for LNG. And of course, we've seen Ziggs already this series prove very difficult to shift out from under this turret. The ability to at least throw an ultimate at it alongside all of your basic abilities means clearing the waves in his face is quite difficult.
3 items Ziggs, man. It's just, if the combo lands now, you will see what Weibo have been missing for this whole game. If they catch out Scout, or if they catch out, well, if they catch out most people, the one person is, I guess,
everyone but Cassandra, yeah.
But Gull has Cleanse, so it's harder to catch him as well. But if they catch someone in the right place, Light is going to 100-0 someone. It is so disgusting what this champion can do. Weibo have struggled to set up that combo. They have given up vision control on this bot side. Breathe has Mega, but that will run out quicker than potentially Weibo would like. They don't have that bot lane push. They don't have that mid lane push. LNG controlling the Fog of War, playing around poke.
Crisp gets taken to about half HP. I don't know whether he has the Warmogs quite yet. Will likely be able to get himself back up to HP if he just waits around a little bit. But the dragon is started and Soul is just gone. That's it. It's over.
It has been absolutely shredded. LNG, from a composition that was behind in the side lanes, used Scout to stop that win condition long enough to get themselves into Soul of that Hextech. You know, the Hextech Soul so dangerous in that Weibo. They have been slow on the side lanes. They chose to walk around and see if they could contest that dragon. They couldn't. They were delayed on that front. LNG have managed to really take the teeth out of Weibo's split map approach.
And now the problem is you're into Hexol with multiple members who can abuse it very heavily. The Tristana are slow on her as she jumps on forward, sounds pretty miserable. Nidalee ability to chain some damage now through multiple people with auto attacks with the spears. Ezreal, one of the biggest abusers of Hexol in the game, can prove very difficult here.
I'm trying to think who's even worse for that. I mean, Ashe volleys are nasty because you get the chain spell off everything. That's really not great. But yeah, Ezreal, if he just hits you with anything, it's so nasty. Even if he just tags the wave, of course, can go through like static shiv as well. So LNG, really big point in power now. I think that Weibo have really struggled to open the side lanes. They're losing vision everywhere. They have only a slim strip of vision just leading from mid lane down into the bot side dragon pit. It's really been hard for them to set up, and you just got to feel that Weibo had the chance to win through the side lanes, and they've kind of squandered that opportunity.
Of course, there is still Elder Dragon, there is still Baron, but it feels like Weibo Gaming are finding it increasingly difficult to walk through their own jungle safely and contest these objectives.
So they've got the Hex Gates to Weibo to arrive to this objective sooner, but we saw how quick the last objective blew through, and this is going to happen again.
Tarzan's going to be too slow. It's gone. It absolutely is. Might be able to flash on him, but I think he's just too slow. It's down.
The LNG know their timers. They take both objectives when they get control of one side of the map. And LNG now have Soul. They have Baron. Weibo, they've been waiting to try and get a push out somewhere. But Breathe is in their own jungle trying to get poked like this. They might just be able to... Well, they're not even going to be able to defend their own mid lane outer turret at this point. Light's done a great job of trying to wave clear through this. It has been so hard for them to find any space on the map.
And Zig's wave clear, which is so hard to manage when there's no Baron buff, is suddenly a lot more manageable when the magic damage doesn't work very well against the minions.
For those of you that played all the way back in 2014 and before, you will remember that Baron buff used to give you a different buff. It used to give you HP and mana regen, so you'd just be able to like keep taking fights, and it was basically like an extended Ocean Soul buff instead. They had to change it to buffing up minions because Ziggs, Xerath, and Anivia existed, because you could never end a game through them. The fact that we're seeing this again in terms of, yes, you do sometimes need Baron to just stop Ziggs doing Ziggs things. It is the truth of our game. We do see LNG now. Great ability to now walk in with 5 Baron buffs across the map. I think that Scout now on 4 items, so ready to kick some heads in. And Weibo, it's been sad to see them be the ones which have fallen into this passive state. I think they've been really struggled to combo up. They've never really had that big Ziggs combo to kill someone off in the right kind of timing. And now even with the Verdant Barrier on Weiwei, makes it a little hard to go for it. They're going for it now, though.
Weiwei flashes on out, and that's the Mega Inferno Bomb afterwards. And now the turnaround can begin to come on through. Scout gets over the wall, the quickness as well. Huge amount of damage as Hung just about survives the Pyroclasm burn.
Mugtread's MVP, Chris mistimes his combo, and it means that Weiwei survives, Chris goes down. Now, without your big ultimate from the Ziggs, without your Solar Flare, you're probably just going to fall apart against this Baron buff. Cassante's pushing in the mid lane with no one to respond to him. And LNG, they've just found themselves a really important pick to allow them onto these towers.
And even the chunk onto Hung doesn't mean all that much, because Warmogs is a thing, right back to full HP again.
There's in Weibo, they try and look for that one combo, but it's been so hard to play against that Hextech, play against that big old Baron buff. Tower goes down, base broken.
The explosive charge is so brutal at this point. Zucker drags Tarzan over the wall, who immediately has to flash out to safety. Zucker himself flashes and footworks. The damage back is pretty huge, but the Corki is dead. Scout jumps on forwards again, forces a flash out of Light, who's going to take a huge amount of damage, throws out a bouncing bomb, but the inhibitor is broken. And with the mid laner dead, I think they can get a significant amount more work done here in breaking the space apart.
I mean, with Light, with no ult, no flash, and Xiaohu being dead, I think that they can maybe just look for the game. You have a level 18 Tristana, maximum range, maximum firepower, breaks down the first turret. Weibo, I don't think they have the wave clear. LNG might have just killed them with 1,000 cuts.
They heard it from the 8080 commanders way back in episode 5, the revenge of the Sith and the Empire striking back, targeting the Rebel base for maximum firepower with 15 seconds left on Xiaohu. I don't think there's anything left to stop them. A buster shot away. If anybody could stop Scout, wait, he's taken pretty low, should still survive. The Mega Inferno bomb is hopped on out of an LNG. Turn game 3 around to win the series.
Oh, Weibo feeling a bit hot under the collar, have to retreat from this series. Maximum firepower coming from LNG onto the base. Need to walk away with a 2-1. This game felt like from the draft, from the early game, it was going to go the way of Weibo, but they couldn't see it through. LNG stay the course, walk away with a 2-1. I think probably game 3 was the lowest quality from Weibo, and they'll be ruining that opportunity. It does really feel like LNG managed to outlast them in this game 3 and just pick apart Weibo through a couple of those mistakes. I do think that both these teams still look better than they have done in the group stage. I still think this was a higher level series than people might have expected given some of the commentary around them, and that is completely valid to have expected that. They've only had a couple of series where it looks like things have been really coming back into the forefront. It does feel like now LNG with 2 wins on the back really feel like they could get themselves some momentum.
Well, LNG will be the victors here today. It was a fun series, I think, at least. Close enough, but it was still going to be a pretty back and forth affair, I think. Especially that game 3 where it felt like Weibo Gaming had the advantage early on, but couldn't really secure it as the Dragons started to get stacked against them. In the end, it's still LNG that come out on top.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the games today.
Yeah, I did. It was good fun. I am a little bit tired still because I've basically come back from abroad to me to go right back into work. So I'm like, oh, I've got to cast a season for NLC.
Jeez. Okay, well, folks, that is going to do it from us on an LPL today. Sam, are you going to do your own stream today?
I will do, yes.
Okay, so Sam's going to go do his own stream. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nymaera. This is Initialise. We are brothers. I'm Alex. This is Sam. That's our real names. That's what we call each other because we are actually brothers.
We're real people.
And yeah, we do this to make sure that these games are not lost to time. This is the only place you will find every single LPL streams. A lot of other people take breaks. They go and watch other leagues, which is, again, completely valid. We've just decided to bite the bullet and try and capture all of these games in the right kind of timing for you. So we hope you